If your Amazon margins feel tighter than they did a year ago, that is real. Over the last few years, Amazon has introduced new fees, adjusted existing ones, and overall created an environment where sellers are unknowingly giving away thousands of dollars every month. So in this video, I'm going to break down every single Amazon FBA fee that you need to understand in 2026 and show you where most sellers lose money, and then share some practical ways to reduce these costs without hurting your growth. So whether you're just starting out or you're a mature seller doing more than 300 to 500K a month, understanding each of these fees in detail will help you recover a lot of profitability. So let's get into it. If we haven't met before, my name is Vijay. I've been selling on Amazon for over 8 years. I launched and scaled my own headphones brand back in 2018, grew it to over $6 million in annual revenue. And since then, I've been running my own agency, Keystone Growth Partners, where we help more than 65 brands grow and scale on Amazon. The first fee is the referral fee. This is quite simply Amazon's commission for giving you access to their marketplace and their customer base. For most categories, the referral fees are around 15% off your selling price, but you can check out the exact referral fee for your category under the fees section or Seller Central right here. So for example, if you sell your product for $30, Amazon will charge about $4.5, which is 15% off $30 right off the bat. Now, many sellers do complain about these fees, but realistically, if you were driving that same traffic through Shopify, Google, or Meta ads, and then you're supporting infrastructure, your customer acquisition costs would likely be equal or higher than this 15%. So I don't spend too much time worrying about these fees because it's not something that you really can influence. Instead, I focus on optimizing the fees that we can actually work on. Number two is the FBA fulfillment fees. So this fee essentially covers picking, packing, shipping, customer service, and returns processing. And what's important to understand here is that this fee is not charged as a percentage of your selling price. Instead, it's based on the dimensions and the physical weight of the product, and it's charged in absolute dollars. So unlike the referral fee, if your product dimensions and weight typically incurs a shipping fee, the fulfillment fees is not a percentage of your overall sales. So for example, if your product sells for $30 and based on the dimensions and the weight, Amazon is charging you $5 as fulfillment fees, then this ends up being 5 divided by 30, which is about 16.66% of your selling price. However, if you were selling the same product for $40, you would still get charged the same $5 based on the dimensions of the weight. So in that case, your fulfillment fee ends up being 5 divided by 40, or just 12.5% of your selling price. Now, many sellers actually don't know this. They feel that the fulfillment fees is also just a percentage of the selling price. And they assume that whether they're cheaper or more expensive, they would still get charged a flat percentage amount. Now, what can you do to actually bring this fee down? So quite straightforward, as I've already shown you, pricing is not gonna change this too much, but in absolute terms, a tiny packaging change can dramatically impact profitability. And the reason for that is based on the dimensions, the weight of the product, Amazon classifies your product into one of several tiers. So there's two main size tiers, small standard and large standard. And each one has specific dimensions and weight limits. And as you can see here, the heavier and bigger your product, the more you're going to pay. Now, on top of that, a pair of products are going to cost you 30 to 40 cents more per item. And dangerous goods have a different structure as well. But 99% of sellers would fall into either small standard or large standard. Now, if you're launching a new product and you want to estimate what Amazon would typically charge you for this product before you actually go live, a really simple way to figure out your costs is to use the free Amazon FBA calculator. And I'll put a link down to the calculator below. So to use this calculator, all you need to do is input your product's dimensions and weight and click calculate. And Amazon will tell you your estimated fulfillment cost, and it'll also tell you your monthly storage per unit. And we'll come to that in a minute. So one of the first things that we review when working with brands is their product dimensions, because your product dimensions will essentially affect your fulfillment fees, your storage fees, your inbound shipping costs, your placement costs, and long-term storage fees. So in other words, your size impacts almost every major cost category. The next fee is the Amazon storage fee. Now, the storage fee is essentially something that Amazon charges you every month that you have inventory in their warehouse. And this is typically charged on a cubic foot per month basis. So from January to September, they charge you 78 cents per cubic foot per month. And from October to December, they charge $2.4 per cubic foot per month because that's the peak holiday season. And essentially everyone wants warehouse space. So the good news is that if your products are selling fast and not sitting in the Amazon warehouse for an extended period of time, then your storage fees are going to be fairly minuscule. We're talking like pennies per unit per month. And the second part is that if your products are small to medium sized, again, storage fees are going to be fairly cheap and not going to be a huge impact on your P&L. However, if your products are oversized or bulky, or if you're storing inventory for a long period of time, which essentially means your products aren't selling as fast as they should be, that's when storage fees could become a serious issue and could eat up significant part of your profits. So if you want to bring these costs down, the first part of it is already addressed in the dimension. So just by bringing down the overall size of the product and classifying it under a smaller tier will bring down your storage fees just like it would bring down your fulfillment fees. But the second part here to note is that keeping an optimal number of days of inventory is very critical. Now, what do I mean by optimal? So typically what we do with brands is an average days of cover of about 90 days is the sweet spot. Anything lesser than 30 days is a big risk because we do run the risk of that product stocking out. And Amazon penalizes us for that as well. I'll come to that in a second. And on the other end of the spectrum, if your product lies in their warehouse for 1 days and above, again, there are additional penalty fees that Amazon charges. So anywhere between 60 to 90 days of inventory at any point of time is the optimal amount that we'd suggest you keep in FBA. Now, this brings us to the next fees, which is the aged inventory surcharge. Now, this used to be called the long-term storage fee, and it used to kick in only after 365 days. But Amazon changed this and made it way more aggressive in 2026. Now they start charging you extra after just 181 days. So that's about 6 months. And penalties go up in tiers. So you're not charged any aged inventory surcharge for 6 months. But from 181 days to 270 days, they charge you around 50 cents per cubic foot on top of your regular storage fee. So let's say they were charging you a standard 78 cents per cubic foot per month, and you're sitting in August, and there is an item which has been lying there for 181 days and above. So Amazon is now going to charge you 78 cents plus 50 cents, which is $1.28 per cubic foot per month. And similarly, if it continues to stay in their warehouse from 271 to 365 days, it jumps to 1.5 cubic foot per month additional. And then beyond 365 days, it goes even higher. Now, keep in mind, this fee only applies if your products are not selling. So if you send in 100 units and you sell them through within less than 180 days, the clock resets when the new stock comes in. So if your products aren't moving and they're getting closer to that 6-month mark, you have two options. Number one is you run aggressive discounting and or PPC on it to make sure it just sells out. Even if it means making lesser profits on those items, I'd suggest go for it. Number two is if you do have other channels to sell that product apart from Amazon and you don't want to take a P&L hit to liquidate that item urgently on Amazon, then what you can always do is ask Amazon to send them back to you, because chances are that the storage fee that you'd be paying for your own warehouse or any 3PL warehouse would be cheaper than the rate at which Amazon is going to charge you with that surcharge. That would save you money right there. And even if you're just going to let those items sit in your warehouse, repackage them and send them back in later, even that could save you money because the new items that you send in, the clock resets on those again as far as the surcharge fees is concerned. So if you need any assistance walking you through where you stand currently with respect to your inventory levels, there is a link down below to book a strategy call with us. And we'd just be happy to take you through where you stand today and what you need to do to bring down these fees. Now, the next fee is essentially the opposite of what we've just discussed. This is known as the low inventory level fee. So Amazon now charges you if your inventory drops too low. And how Amazon defines this is essentially if your inventory drops to below 28 days worth of stock based on your historical sales, Amazon now will charge you anywhere between 32 cents per cubic foot per unit. So if you really think about it, they charge you if you have too much inventory, and they also charge you now if you don't have enough inventory. Sounds bizarre, right? But that's what it is. That's Amazon today. They're getting extremely strict with efficient utilization of warehouse space in FBA. Now, this might sound strange to sellers, is that why am I being penalized if I'm not taking up space in their warehouse? So if my items are selling faster than anticipated, that's actually warehouse saving space as far as Amazon is concerned. But the reason why Amazon charges this is that from their perspective, any item which is going to go out of stock is essentially going to be a revenue loss for the platform. So while you as a seller end up losing some amount of opportunity with respect to missed revenue, Amazon misses out on the potential commission on those product sales as well. So the low inventory level fee is ideally Amazon's way of alerting you that if you let this item go out of stock, then we would penalize you. So this is something that Amazon ideally does not want to charge, but it's their way of ensuring that you're aware of the inventory levels and you don't let any item go out of stock. Now, there are some categories for which the low inventory level and the aged inventory level surcharge are not charged by Amazon. They're exempted. So this would be categories like groceries. But for the most part, 90 to 95% of the categories that we operate in have these fees applicable. The next is inbound placement fees. So this fee applies when Amazon essentially distributes inventory across its entire fulfillment network. So when you send inventory in Amazon, you have two options. You can either split your shipment across multiple warehouses yourself, or you could send in everything to one location and let Amazon distribute it. If Amazon distributes it, they charge you a fee for it. And if you want to avoid this, the hack is essentially to ship to 5 or more locations yourself, and you don't pay this fee at all. So most likely shipping to 5 locations yourself through your own 3PL is likely going to be slightly cheaper. However, it is an additional operational headache for you to send in those 5 shipments. Also, there is a minimum order quantity for each of those 5 locations. So if, for example, you want to send in a total of just 50 units, and if you want to split it across 5, that would essentially mean sending in 10 units each to 5 locations. 10 units as a quantity may be too small for any one location. Amazon has thresholds there, which essentially means you have no option but to send in 50 units together to one location. However, in our experience, the inbound placement fee is not something that is really a huge hit. The fee that Amazon charges for redistributing across their fulfillment network is fairly nominal. And for most sellers, including our clients, we suggest just sending in the goods into any one warehouse. It does just bring us a lot of peace of mind and lets us focus on other aspects of the business. So essentially, bringing down the size and dimensions is bringing down 3 fees. Number 1 is the fulfillment fee. Number 2 is your storage fee. And number 3, the inbound placement fee. Now, the next fee is something that often catches people completely off guard, and it's actually become quite harsh in 2026. This is known as a return fee. So if your customer decides within 30 days to return the product, you have to pay a fee that covers return shipping and processing. And if the product is in good condition, Amazon can put it back into your inventory, or you can have them dispose of it for around 50 cents per unit. Now, Amazon restructured how they charge return fees recently. They use something known as a threshold-based system. So for most categories, they only charge the return processing fee when your return rate goes above a certain threshold. So if you have a low return rate already, you might not have to pay this fee at all. But apparel and shoes get charged on every single item with no threshold. Also, if your product ships fewer than 25 units a month, you're exempt entirely. So the best way to bring down this fee essentially just goes back to product quality. If you have a good quality product and the return rate for that product is below the threshold or the category average, as Amazon defines it, then you are going to be exempt from this fee and you don't have to worry about it. So it's essentially Amazon's way of saying that if you have a shitty product, not only are customers going to return that more, which is going to impact customer experience, but we're going to penalize you for that with this return fee. And the last fee is something known as the low price FBA fees. So this replaced what used to be called the old small and light program. So if your item is priced under $10, it automatically qualifies for this. So you don't have to enroll or do anything. Amazon just gives you the lower rate that comes out to a discount of around 86 cents per unit. So if you're selling thousands of units a month, that's hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in savings. One thing to note is that old small and light program covers items up to $12. However, the new low price program only covers item under $10. So if you were priced between $10 and $12, you actually lost that discount that you used to have. So here are 4 things that I'd suggest you do to review all of the fees that you're paying today, as well as what you can do to bring them down. So first, just go ahead and audit everything today. Audit every single fee that you're paying to Amazon under each of the headings that I've explained in this video. The second is make sure that Amazon has the correct dimensions and weight of your product in their system. So sometimes they incorrectly record the dimensions and the weight in their system, which leads to you being classified in a higher tier that you're supposed to. And that impacts everything. A higher tier is essentially going to cause increased fulfillment fees, increased storage fees, and increased inbound placement fees. So you want to catch this as soon as possible and contact them. Typically, what I would do is just take any one of your existing items in your warehouse and measure the length, breadth, and height and the weight, and go in Amazon Seller Central, open up that SKU, and make sure that the dimensions recorded in Amazon's system against that SKU are matching with what you have physically. If there's any sort of mismatch, you can raise a case with Amazon Seller Support. In that case, attach photographs and videos of you measuring and weighing that item, and make sure that the dimensions through a measuring tape or the weight on a weighing scale is clearly visible in the photographs or the video. And through this process, we can prove to Amazon that they need to correct the dimensions and weight in their system and give us a refund for any incorrect charges that they've charged us for historically. And I get it, this is a very laborious and time-taking process. So if you need any assistance getting this done, we have our team who's regularly in touch with Amazon Seller Support for our clients, and they're going to be the ones who are going to be following up with the support team to get this done for you. So if you need any help, go ahead and book a call using the link in the description. The third would be to review your inventory turnover and aged inventory. Now, Amazon has this very clearly visible under the manage inventory section. For each of the SKUs, it does give you a breakdown of the average days on hand for that particular item based on historical sales. It also has age-wise bucket of any item across 0 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 90, and so on and so forth. So if you see any concerns there with respect to an item already being aged, hitting that 180 mark, or has already crossed it, those are items that you need to act on today with respect to either discounting it or taking it back yourself. And the fourth would be essentially to evaluate packaging opportunities. See if there is anything that can be done to bring down the dimensions of your item. It may not always be possible, but it is something that you should double check, because as I've said, if you're able to bring down this to a lower tier, that could impact multiple types of fees as I've explained above. So Amazon fees really aren't going away. Let's be clear on that. If anything, Amazon fee structure is actually becoming more complex every year. So hopefully this video gives you a clearer picture of where your money is actually going and where you may be able to improve your profitability. And if you'd ever like a second set of eyes on your Amazon business, we've included a strategy call link in the description below. My team here at Keystone works with established brands to help improve growth, profitability, operational efficiency, and overall Amazon performance. So happy to have a conversation to see whether we can provide value. And if you found this video useful, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.